Step 3, you grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, Mr. Weekend. Well, who can hear me? We're going to do this mic test now. I did message StreamYard yesterday about a minute ago. I was having, but like you, I forgot to tell them about the microphone. So let me start welcoming people. And as I'm saying hello, emojis don't help me. Can you hear me or not? Okay. All right, can you guys hear me? All right, Lisa said she can hear me. Now, there is a lag. We'll get it figured out. What I was saying is I messaged StreamYard yesterday about an issue I was having with the overlays, and they got right back to me. It was crazy. But I forgot to mention the audio problem we're having. I hear other people are having the same problem, so I don't feel so picked on, but that's okay. We'll get it figured out. Wolfcat, good morning. Jesse Lynn's in. Teresa, JTB up early with me. Whistle while you lurk. Hello. Thank you, Lisa, for saying, yes, I can hear you, because I don't always understand the emojis. Sometimes I get a row of 100s and I think it means 100 you can hear me. Sometimes it means 100 I can't. Sometimes I get a flash of microphone emojis and I think it means, cool, the mic's working, but sometimes it means you have no microphone. Even though it is 2022 and I've been using the internet for a very long time, Al Gore did not teach me well, because I do not quite understand all the emojis. Sorry, I just do not. Hello, Robin Smith. Hello, Blue Eyes. Teresa said, sounds good. Granny says, now you're clear. Maybe it's just the first few seconds. I don't know. Ghost Devil, Rhonda Ray's in. Amanda, hello. You can blame Cassie for me jumping in early. Well, I get up early anyway, and for some reason, the Saturday morning shows, I get really excited to start early. Kind of go against the grain. It's not a regular work week per se. So I like to jump in early like we did last Saturday. I think we were live at like 5 a.m. about the audio with Kylie Rodney. If that wasn't just insane what happened last week. Hello, DB. But Cassie got me going on French toast. Hang on, I got to shut my door. Okay, so I got some messages from you guys regarding a video I put up yesterday. I did all I could with that audio. It's on their end. These press conferences, when they go live, they don't do a sound check before. So we get what information out of these press conferences we can. It's become a very frustrating thing on our end. If you remember the press conference for Summer Wells, the 1-year anniversary of her disappearance, we were all screaming to high heaven, we can't hear anything. We can't hear anything. What's this? Let me turn my phone down. I got a friend request. I don't know that person. I don't know you. Same with Quentin Simon. When we did the press conference on Thursday, it was from WJCL, I believe, out of Savannah. And it just kept buffering and buffering and buffering. So we went to 11 Alive Atlanta. They had good sound. Had to start it over, but hey, we got it. We got it. So what's everyone doing today except Cassie that's making French toast for everyone. Amanda said, I just went to the news and got the information. Well, poo on you, Amanda. We kind of like hanging out here together. That's always a good option too. Hello, Kat. Hello. So can you believe, all right, so the elephant in the room for this show anyway is 16 months. 16 months. This is turning into not to be grim on a Saturday morning, it's turning into a Kyron Horman situation. You have suspects, rumors of grand juries, which in Kyron's situation, there definitely was a grand jury. Just for some reason, the people that were there didn't seem to understand that all arrows were pointing towards Terry Horman. So 16 months today, Summer Wells went missing. 16 months ago, they were already sitting in the ER for Grandis to get her knee all shot up with cortisone. Probably at this time, Candace was already developing plans to go pick up Hunter. And we know how the rest of the day went. Well, we have a good idea. Because like I said, 16 months later, we're still talking about the disappearance of Summer Wells. There's been a big shift, which is A-okay, because you're still talking about Summer. We can agree to disagree. People have said, look, they can be terrible, negligent parents and have nothing to do with Summer's disappearance. Dawn could have very well been at work. Candace could have very well been passed out in the chair or truly taken a walk, as she claimed. The 911 call says nothing about planting cactus, knee braces, or washing hands. We're going to go through the 911 call. It gave me a little bit more faith in Hawkins County listening to the 911 call again, because I was saying on the show for Quentin Simon, one of the shows last week, I said, this police force treated it as a crime from the get. Well, I'm listening to the 911 call, and it reminded me, because I have to go through these things over and over, when they said, check the house even if the family says they did. They treated it as a crime scene because when old Goofy Robin came rolling up on Ben Hill with snacks and backpacks, they wouldn't even let her on the scene. Goes without saying, negligent parents, bad things happen to their kids. If they're culpable, seems like some of the worst parents in the world make it through unscathed. I'll never understand it. I mean, thank God we don't want anything else to happen to these kids. I mean, now that we're at 16 months, Dawn's going to be getting out of the pokey pretty soon for the violation of probation. Just to make it clear, what he's in jail for has nothing to do with Summer. Nothing. They cannot hold him another second. And to be quite honest, I'm really shocked he sat there as long as he did. I figured within a month he'd be out. I really did. Not because it's Hawkins County, it's just because it's the correctional system. Who will pick Dawn up? I have verification that Candace is back. She is back at Ben Hill. Not suggesting anyone go pay her a visit. She's not exactly pizza poor. I'm sure it's one of the very first things that she picked up. Question is, who is funding Candace? We know she doesn't punch a time clock. We know she has no work from home business. She could have monetized her TikTok. She had tons of followers. She's not that bright. Lisa said, should I offer to pick Dawn up in my convertible? Yes, please. He's going to be extra thirsty. I suggest you have some beverages with you or do a stop on the way back. I just don't know how long the last almost year in Hawkins County are going to have weighed on him. We're either going to have a come to Jesus Dawn, or we're going to have a very, very, very resentful, pissed off Dawn. What do you think we're going to get? What do you think we're going to get? A fully reformed Dawn or a Dawn ready to go to battle? Because someone has been communicating with him. I'm going to take a guess and say it's Tim Mullen. I'm going to take a guess it's Tim Mullen. Tim seems a little gossipy to me, even though he doesn't talk to any YouTubers or anything, but to his human boss, I have a feeling to keep him on his good side. He's made sure to tell him everything that's going on. He's heard about plenty of fish. I think Candace tried everything except Christian singles. I felt bad for old Sunshine 420. I was afraid she had that guy on the hook for a little bit. He would have heard about the dating apps. He would have heard about the crush, the obvious crush that Candace had on Benny. I mean, she was blushing, wanting to go skydiving with Benny. to the point where Benny was uncomfortable. I never thought anything would make Benny feel uncomfortable. Benny was about to crawl out of his skin. Benny was about to crawl out of his skin. I can't say that I blame him. It was uncomfortable for me to watch. Good morning, UFC. I miss Lex too. Good morning, Lex. She promised slash day. You're right, Kat. Slash day. Slash day's coming. She said, I love him, but I'm not in love with him. He's the kids' dad, she said. But after what he's done, I just can't continue on, she said. It was very Marlena Brady Days of Our Lives, the way she, spoke about him. So what's going to happen? There is a little bit of activity on the Hill, nothing like it used to be. I'm just wondering who's going to help Candace clean it up. Who will it be? I hear the church is pretty much done with them. Even Jesus can only take so much. It's like you got to start doing things the right way and I'll be back. It's been 16 months. They're still a suspect. But as we know, she roams freely. Will they get the boys back? That's one of the biggest concerns. Will they get the boys back? Some people are like, hell no, that'll never happen. You and I both know it can happen. We know. So will it be slash day? Or are we going to rekindle the romance? I don't know. We'll just have to speculate. Just have to speculate on that one. By the way, the link is pinned. It's a Saturday morning. Jump on up and talk to me if you want. If not, I'm going to get to some comments. Don't be shy. Grab it. You're right, just me. We've seen stranger things. Will Dawn be on probation? I can't remember now. Can someone help me? Is Dawn actually going to be on probation? He's got some piss poor amount of community service or something to do. The way things go down, it could be Dawn does community service at his own house. Dawn could be out there mowing and cleaning up lumber. I don't know. We know one thing he doesn't have to clean up, and that's Grandis's camper because it's gone. Grandis's camper is gone. Now, as you remember, when it got gone, the camper, I still don't know if she sold it or if she took that tin can with her. I don't know what she did. A lot of people said, that has nothing to do with anything. Oh, Brooks, you're just gonna milk every last drop. That has nothing to do with anything. You're telling me that the camper that Grandis was sleeping in the day that Summer Wells went missing, that a suspect was living in on the property where she went missing, and now is gone, has nothing to do with anything? I beg to differ. Let's see what our friend Kat's doing. Long time no see, Kat. What are you doing?
Hey, Brooks. Hi. I just got home from work and I saw you alive and I was like, oh, thankfully I can finally come on alive. How are you?
I was just reading some comments. So you had to work on a Saturday. Cassie's got me all thinking about nothing but, Summer Wells and French toast. That's how my brain works.
French toast sounds really good right now. It's lunchtime here. I've just had some lunch, so I didn't want to speak to you with my mouth full of food. So
that's all I'm thinking about is food. I've even got some leftover Taco Bueno sitting in the fridge, and I'm like, that even sounds good right now.
Mm-hmm.
So back to business. 16 months. Can you believe this? 16 months. This case is how you and I met, Kat.
Absolutely. I think it's beyond tragic, and I just can't believe that 16 months later we're still sitting here with no further resolution or answers than we had on day one.
No update.
Nope.
No update. The reward fund is persona non grata. Forget it. No reward.
Mm-mm.
That doesn't mean someone else cannot start a reward fund and say, I'm offering a reward because someone knows something.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean someone else can't do it. Dylan Rounds, he's been missing since Labor Day of this year. Not Labor Day, Memorial Day. Tragic, tragic, tragic. His parents would do anything to find him. $200K. It was one of my
Yeah.
comments this morning. Now, his
Wow.
parents are successfully in front of the media. They've got a pretty good grasp on social media. I mean, really, they do.
Hmm.
And $200K, they want to find their son.
Yeah, I get that. And while I think it's admirable to suggest that somebody else might start a reward fund, I really, really would caution against it, given what we've had with the Summer Wells reward fund. But I get that the sentiment is there.
Mm-hmm. Well, you get me with rewards and polygraphs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I just don't. It's a very unpopular stance I take. And, there's some people who have flat out just said, you're an idiot. I can't sub to you. What do you mean polygraphs don't mean anything? What do you mean rewards don't mean anything? I've never heard a jury come out and say, well, we heard about a reward,
Right.
so they must be guilty.
Yeah, I think look at the evidence. If people don't think that polygraph evidence or polygraph results matter, or they do think that they matter, look at the evidence that supports the opposite side of the coin, if you like, because people that have been guilty of crimes have been absolved of polygraph tests, and reward funds are very, very rarely paid out, and usually started by law enforcement, not started by random people in the community.
And even the ones started by law enforcement go sideways.
Right.
Asia Terrell, those fishermen didn't get a dime.
Exactly.
Alabama manhunt. Car wash
Mhm.
James didn't get any money.
Nope.
FBI's like, no, we were already on it, idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Glad you saw him at the car wash, but no. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No. Now, in the case of Jamie Kloss, am I saying her name right? You guys know I butcher names here. In Wisconsin, she was found by a woman. I mean, Jamie, she escaped. That woman did get the reward, and she gave it to Jamie. She said, no,
Right.
she saved herself. Gave
Right.
me faith in society that there is some integrity walking.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you've got to think as well, how much amount of money is enough for somebody to buy their freedom? Because, well, in my opinion, the only people that know anything in Summer's case couldn't even use all of that money to escape justice. Like, it just doesn't make sense that they would, if law enforcement thought that somebody random was responsible for Summer's disappearance, then presumably they would have put up the reward themselves for information,
Yeah, no need. And when law enforcement does put up a reward, it's nothing to really blow your hair back. It's like 10, 15 grand.
Right.
Not all they're
Right.
going to hurt with.
Right.
Trevor Lee, thank you. Thank you for the support. The reward fund is broken.
Mhm.
Rewards and GoFundMe's in these cases, the minute I hear it, I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
The circus, the tents are going up.
Yeah.
It never, ever, ever goes good.
No.
Ever.
It's almost become a red flag in itself, though, hasn't it?
Mhm.
Hearing about red flags and polygraph tests almost immediately sets off a red flag. If you followed enough cases and found enough outcomes of these things, as soon as you hear it, it gets the hairs on the back of the neck standing up, kind of thing.
Because it's going to go sideways.
Right.
You just know it is. I mean, you involve money in something that's already evil. So you put an evil upon an evil, you got problems.
Exactly.
Then you throw in some YouTubers, and here we are.
Yep. 16 months later. If anyone was going to talk for the original reward fund that was up, they would have done it already, and if they could have claimed that money, they would have already. But the fact that no one talked for the amount of money that was already in the reward fund before it got sequestered, just goes to show me that it doesn't really matter how much money you put up, because the people that are responsible are not going to talk for money. There's no point. You can't buy them anything when they're sat in a jail cell, can it?
No. Didn't make Scott Peterson talk, did it?
Nope.
Barry Morphew's not doing anything?
Nope.
Of course, he put up part of his own money. I guess that was a good look for some people. I was like, he doesn't even have that much cash.
Right.
Trevor Lee's in the house. Let's all say hello to Trevor. Good morning, Trevor. 16 months, my friend.
Good morning. I know it seems not real.
It can't be. And by the way, everyone, Trevor's been working on this case since September. God. June 15th, 2021. Thank you for all of your efforts to help bring justice to Summer Wells.
Absolutely. Thank you for covering her case as you do and providing the same advocacy because she needs everybody's voice.
Absolutely.
Any word, and I hate to keep focusing back on Ben Hill because I do not want anyone to go out there and bother the Queen of the Hill. Any word on the street? You're local, Trevor. Any word on the street of what's going on Ben Hill?
There's speculation that Candace is back, but there's been nothing. Nobody's seen her. If she is back, I'm sure she's bunkered up in there, especially without anybody else being there. So I'm sure we wouldn't know until Dawn gets out.
And it's gonna be on. So what is your speculation with these two? Do you think that they're going to have learned their lesson about their past behaviors, or do you think we're going to see chapter 5 million?
The latter, for sure. I give Dawn, I don't even want to estimate, but he'll, especially without the boys, if it turns out they don't end up getting the boys back, then he'll slip even faster.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you as well. I think it's going to become.
I don't like to say that, but it's like he's not only been in jail, he's been in segregation, so he's had even less people to talk to, and he's going to have a lot to say when he gets out, when he hears everything, all the communications that's gone on since he's been in.
Mayor, thank you for your support. Mayor said, where will Dawn and Candace go without money? Seems they would have to stay in Tennessee. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Dawn doesn't go right back to the company he was at. What do you think, Trevor? I really wouldn't be surprised.
No, I wouldn't be either. And I know Candace has been still collecting her SSI checks or whatever. So if he goes back to his job, they'll be right back at the income they were at anyways.
Without their children, though.
And without children.
Yeah.
Right.
Which that seemed to put them over the edge even worse. Because we already knew they were off. We knew that. We knew they weren't prime time ready for sure when we saw their WJHL interview. Once the boys were gone, it was on like Donkey Kong. So the YouTubers have turned on them. Dawn, I don't believe for a minute Dawn doesn't know what's been going on. I just wonder who he will reach out to. Not going to be happening here. I hate to break anyone's heart. I don't like to talk to suspects particularly.
Yeah, me either.
Now, I have a feeling it's going to be, if they just use your own channel, guys.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that it won't necessarily even be a case of who Don reaches out to. I think there's plenty of people already trying to be the first person to reach out to Don already. And like I said on my channel, I don't intend to compete in that environment. I really have nothing to hear from Don anymore. As far as I'm concerned, he's not going to bring any further information about Summer or what happened to her, because he's just spent the last year in jail and he's going to want to sit there and talk about his sorry ass and, all the persecution that he's suffered in jail. And I haven't got anything for him. I've got nothing.
No, I don't think he'll be quiet for very long. I've been surprised before.
I suppose he's got a lot of lawn mowing to do and stuff, hasn't he? He's got to sort his garden out so that he can actually get into his house, because I can't imagine there's been too many people gardening up there for them or mowing the lawn or,
No.
I heard that the Johnson grass is so tall, you can't even make out. And I've been misinformed before, so don't shoot the messenger. But I can imagine it. I can imagine it. I know what uncut properties here look like.
Right.
That you can't even see the mailbox. You don't even know that you're coming up to 110.
Yeah. And maybe they'll choose to hide behind that. But at the end of the day, I can't see them living very functionally back together for any length of time in that house.
Savage said jail was a break from Candace. You bet.
Right.
Margot, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Make sure you check the membership tab. There are lots of updates and chit chat on there, and members lives. I think we're going to have 2 members lives next week to go over a couple of things.
Exciting.
I'm telling you. Yeah, whistle while you lurk. Snakes. I mean, she thought
Bear.
she had a wildlife problem before. She
Well,
thought she had a wildlife problem before. Hornet's nests. What else you got, Trevor?
Just about everything you think of down here, and if they've not touched anything, it's going to be 10 times worse.
and the coyotes and the bears.
You name it.
Mhm.
All right, I'm going to go through some comments from the last show. Hold on.
Do it.
Nancy P. By the way, if I showcase your after show comment, I always say your name. So if you use your real name, I try not to. This is just the last initial. But anyway, you should recognize your own comment. So send me an email. You'll find out why. Nancy said, I would be afraid to leave Ben Hill Road. What if Summer somehow showed up there? I would want to be there. The fact that Candace isn't shows me she knows Summer isn't coming home. They all act guilty. I think about the case of Abby Hernandez. Abby was missing many months. She came back home.
How did she come back home though?
Well, she was released by her kidnapper.
How old was she?
Abby, 14 or 15. Anyone remember the Abby Hernandez case?
I don't remember her. I just can't see a 5-year-old child or a 6-year-old child now that's been missing for 16 months remembering where their home is to come home, you know?
Oh, I don't think we're getting that literal here. I think it's just kind of the sentiment that a mother would hold out hope that her child would be coming home.
Oh, let's not be under any illusions though, Brooks. Candace and Don gave up that hope about 36 hours after Summer went missing, if that.
Oh, I would say in the 4 hours it took to call. I would say in the 4 hours it took to call. I mean, let's face it, we spent more time taking selfies with Spider-Man than we did looking for Summer. There's been a lot of comparisons with the Quentin Simon case.
Yeah.
With the whole, don't put up flyers. I don't want to hear about any prayer circles or anything like that. But now Candace was going to the prayer circles. I never really understood what that was all about. If it was some sort of showmanship, it didn't win her any awards, though. Trevor, did you go to any of the vigils? I can't remember if you told me or not.
I was at the 1-year vigil. I wasn't present for the ones that were earlier on. I was raising the reward and putting up flyers and such, but I wasn't at the ones that she was at. She went to the ones that the news had come to, and then when the news started fading out, she did too.
So when
but
the
I didn't
cameras
have any
were there,
interest in being there with.
Candace was there, but when the cameras went home, Candace got gone.
Yep.
Right. Figures.
And that's when they switched over to YouTube, when there wasn't as much media attention for them. They switched over and realized they could sit on somebody's live for 4 hours and talk about anything and everything because people begged at their feet to have them on.
Right. Yeah,
and they will again.
That's how it's going to go back to in the next month or so. I think we'll be, well, not we personally, but it will be back at that kind of square one kind of stage, because I think the reason that Candace has stayed off social media for the most part after Ernie dropped her was because she realised that she didn't really want to do social media on her own. But while Don was encouraging her and people were encouraging her, Don was around, she eventually started to come on drunk and it's not helping me.
Not helping her. But who is helping her? I think that's the question. I mean, Candace isn't going to miss a meal. Candace isn't going to miss a shot of whiskey. Who is helping her? I've always said Tim Mullen, but that well's got to run dry at some point too.
I think Tim Mullen's definitely helping Don. I think I've thought that for quite a while. In the way that the letters came out from him being in jail and all of that kind of stuff. He runs their Don Wells family official channel or whatever. And I think he's kept his hand in there for sure. And there's a reason for that. It's not because not in my opinion, because he genuinely cares about Summer. I think it's because there's some kind of financial advantage to him eventually at the end of all of this.
Yeah, I think he sees his name and credits somewhere down the road, whether it be a book that he co-authors or a Netflix, or I could definitely see a Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see a Hulu. Tim sees his name in credits somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's this like desire to prove everybody right. He wants to be on the other side of where most people logically stand, where we all stand that justice for Summer, the parents seem so guilty, but he wants to be the one that it turns out that she was kidnapped. He wants to be the one that told everybody so and defended the parents, and that way he can be on his own hill saying that when the case would end in the way that he sees it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, let me ask you, Trevor, do you think that the church will stand up in the community when Dawn gets out, or are they currently helping Candace? And when Dawn gets out, maybe help them reestablish, get the hill all cleaned up, because they've done that before. They've gotten somewhat of a staircase to get down into the dungeon. I know people were bringing like the floating floors over to tack down, so they actually had a floor. Any thoughts on that?
I would not be surprised. I'm not sure if they've been supporting her, but when they get back up there, they could easily. I mean, when the 1 year, what shocked me is at the 1 year vigil when nobody in the family showed up, which I know Don was in jail, but Candace, Grandis, I mean, nobody was there. They spent a whole period of the vigil talking about how people have been wrongfully going after the parents and everything like that. So they were fervently defending them without them even being there. So I would not be surprised if they were going to help them.
Because I know at one point they totally distanced themselves from them. But you know how things change. I mean, people can be mad as hell at breakfast time and friends at dinner. It's the craziest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Janice D said, Candace and Grandis should be out searching every day looking for Summer. Why are they not? Both have never been great parents or role models, but when you have a missing kid and both of them do, then at least go look. Look, pretend to look. I know this comment has been shared probably a million times. It remains the same. It stays the same because you have two missing people in your family.
Yeah.
And you have two parents that are disassociated and have moved on with life as if they never existed. Yes, I said it, as if they never existed.
Yeah, I agree, Brooks. It's pretty shocking as well. I don't think
they've never.
Go on, Trevor.
I just think they've never showed any care, and they've never tried to be involved either. Don, when he was interviewed after the second large-scale search that TBI did down here, he said that he found out when we did. He found out when the agents showed up. I've never heard of a parent of a missing child before find out what law enforcement's doing at that big of an event when they come. They may not be able to talk about it, but he didn't even know. And Candace and Grandis were playing board games and
Monopoly,
going to appointments and doing just about everything else while TBI was searching. I mean, nobody seemed to care at all.
Right. Even the EquiSearch, Don managed to throw a spanner in the works by going out and having a go at the people that were running EquiSearch and searching for his daughter. They were causing such an inconvenience to him, and honestly, they're just the worst kind of people, in my opinion.
Mom to 4 said, how long should the public trust that law enforcement is actually doing something? Now, we don't expect to see their case file. We don't expect them to say, well, this is what we've been working on. The most update we've had is when Court K tweeted Leslie at TBI, who said back to her, tweeted back and said, this absolutely is a criminal investigation because foul play has not been ruled out. Right. Today is 16 months since Summer Wells disappeared, and it is safe to say that foul play has still not been ruled out. She goes on to say, without any scheduled updates on the investigation, the public trust is failing. That right now, besides Summer Wells not being found, that would be the biggest problem, the public trust. Now, Trevor, you have a dog in this fight because you live there. Where is your faith in your law enforcement?
I'm not sure what to think about what the county's doing, but I know that TBI, and I do the same. I mean, I've talked to Leslie some too, just as that other person did, reach out every now and then, and just, even if I know that they're working on it, it's just nice to hear that the case is still ongoing. And anytime that I reach out, she always says that they're still working on it and pushing in. So I trust that if they're able to find something in this at the TBI level, that they will.
And that's really all we've got. You know, we can play cowboy all day. I mean, we have 4 men that they found chopped up in a river. I can go down to Old Mulgee and play investigator all I want. It's probably not going to bode well with me. You know what I mean? So that's really all we've got is waiting on them. I just cannot believe it didn't take them long to rule out an abduction. Because I played, I think on the last show. Now the last show was about Dawn going to Utah. One of the most recent shows on Summer. The lady that was over the investigation, who is not any longer because she deals only with Amber Alerts. Well, there is still an Amber Alert for Summer, but once they ruled out abduction, she was off the case. That tells me a lot. So when people still say, well, it still could have been an abduction, well, they removed their abduction investigator.
Yeah.
Okay. The abduction investigator with Michael Vaughn has not been removed.
Right.
You see, I'm not the brightest light in the tanning bed, but I can put things together.
Yeah.
The abduction investigator for Elizabeth Smart was never removed. The abduction investigator for J.C. Dugard, they actually added more. She was totally removed.
Yeah. And most of these cases, by this point in the investigation, at least some people have been ruled out as not persons of interest, not suspects. At least they try to clear the parents in the shortest amount of time possible, you know? And if they
And you know
think,
they
if
would.
they genuinely, you know, every time there has been an update, or recently every time there's been an update, they've said, you know, we're still investigating the possibility that she may have wandered off. But I mean, realistically, how long does it take for an investigator to determine whether or not a child wandered off and left behind not one shred of evidence that they wandered off? You know, it's not an abduction and they can't decide if she wandered off. So that only leaves foul play.
That's really all that can be on the table at this point, because it's not like they didn't have probably next to Holly Bobo, the most extensive search the state's ever seen.
Right.
Hour and money wise. Moxie says, how can you rule out an abduction when you don't know what happened? The FBI card unit did. They know their stuff, my friend. And they have all kinds of different check boxes they're looking for. And when not even one of those boxes is checked, they say, well, nobody came blindly into the holler and got into this house in the middle of the afternoon and took this child.
Right.
That's what they do. That's their forte. So let's listen to, it's going to give you, it's a little chilling. Probably shouldn't do it on a anniversary show, but it needs to be heard again. I'm going to listen to the 911 call.
Okay.
It sounds different every time I listen to it, guys, but here we go.
From 110, 110 Benhill Road off of Beach Creek should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother has went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
All right, you know I'm going to be pausing this quite a bit. The mother went for a walk. Summer's been missing for about 10 minutes now.
Did she say the parents called and the mother advised that she went on a walk?
Yes.
And now they can't find her?
Yes, the mother went on a walk. It's been about 10 minutes now. Now, I know a lot of people have said the 911 operator probably got it wrong. These are recorded phone calls. When you call 911, it is evidence. It is a court. It is a record. It is a record. That is what was reported to this 911 operator.
Yeah.
The parents have advised. The mother went on a walk. It's been about 10 minutes now. Okay, so we could do a whole show based on that statement. You go, Trevor.
Yeah, and I mean, and I can't say, none of us obviously can say for sure. I mean, nobody was in that operator's room, but I find it really hard to believe that out of all the calls they get in a small county like that, when they hear something that big, that they would relay information that wrong. Not just like a little, they were planting this kind of flower, it was this. Like, it wasn't anything small detail. I mean, that's a whole different story. And I find it hard to believe that she's sitting there relaying this information right after they called and just getting all of it wrong. I mean, I just don't see it.
Well, and also, I mean, the thing that stood out to me was the fact that she said the parents have called and advised the mother went on a walk, and it's been about 10 minutes now. So the parents have called. That means Don and Candace, but Don wasn't there. So how could the parents have advised that the mother went on a walk? Don wouldn't have known because he wasn't there.
I had myself muted like an idiot. Well, because Don is relaying the information supposedly that Candace gave him. Now here we go. Don knows Candace.
Yep.
Don knows
that Candace doesn't go on walks.
Candace is not just going to go get her cardio on in the middle of the afternoon. Candace forgot that she even made up this ludicrous story. People take walks all the time. I'm talking about for Candace. Candace forgot she made this story up. WJHL sat with them in the yard because she had on her best rebel hat and blue tank top. And she said, take walks.
Yep.
I'm scared of bears and coyotes and you name it. She's scared of everything. She's scared of she's not going to meander around her own property. She doesn't take walks. Boom. The next day they release this 911 call. Between that and the McDonough interviews, people weren't so defensive about Don and Candace. And I don't care if they come full circle and they come back to team Don and Candace. I don't care, because as long as we're still talking about Summer and keeping her name out there, that's what's important.
Yeah.
We can agree to disagree and we're still friends. That's all there is to it. I get what people are saying. Hey, look, they can be not helicopter parents and not involved. That would be so easily solved, though. Right. She took a walk.
Yep.
She took a walk. 10 minutes later. But this is a woman who doesn't keep track of time, too. So please keep that in your hat.
Yeah. Well, it is hard to keep track of time when you're trying to enjoy yourself.
Try and enjoy yourself.
Okay, before you go on to the next part.
Yes.
I've been down, I've obviously never lived there, but I've been down in Beach Creek a lot since this has started. And I can say I've never seen one person walking anywhere near there. There's just nowhere to go walk unless she's just going to do circles around her house, because once she gets down off of her steep hill road, she's onto the main road, and there's no way people are walking down there when it's one lane each way, cars going 50 miles an hour. Nobody walks down there, so.
Yeah, no walking trails, not a lot of exercisers going on, right?
Like I said, never seen anybody down there walking, so I doubt that she'd be the first one.
Yeah, I don't see Candace. And then, of course, people say, well, that's a metaphor for something else. That means she was running an errand. I don't give a shit. That's what they said. She took a walk, and about 10 minutes had passed, and Summer's gone. We know it was longer than 10 minutes because Lawson himself said, why don't you have all the YouTubers ask her why it took her 4 hours to call? 150% he said that because the woman he said it to used to work for him in his office.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. He's the only one that has made off-the-cuff statements for 16 months. Everyone's a suspect. No, they're not cooperating. No, they're not cooperating. So nobody's out there getting their cardio on, and we damn sure know that wouldn't have been the day for Candace to pick up a healthy habit.
And we also know that Summer wasn't 4 years old either. You don't make that kind of mistake when you're reporting your child missing. You say, oh yeah, my 4-year-old. She was 5. How do you not even know how old your child was? Because they certainly didn't report that wrong either.
No.
They're not going to write down or like enter a 911 call into a computer system, even if someone else picked it up. And then the operator's going to have put 4 instead of 5. She would have got that number from somewhere.
And her birthday's in February.
I know.
So it wasn't even like she had just turned 5 that week, because that's what I hoped at first when I heard it. But that's not even the case.
She's 4 years old. Yeah. When you're reporting a missing person, their description, their name, and their age are pretty damn important. And if you can muster it up in your memory what they had on when you last saw them, they can't get anything but her damn name right.
Yeah.
We don't have the correct age. They didn't give the right description because the picture that was handed over was an updated picture. Not to mention, to this day, Candace cannot give a description of what her daughter had on the last time we saw her. The only thing we know is she was barefoot.
Yeah, even though Candace says she didn't have eyes on Summer for 2 minutes, while Summer went in the house, went down to the basement, blah, blah, blah. Candace still is absolutely 100% positive that Summer did not put any shoes on and wander off down that hill. You know, she can't be sure of that. So it's one thing she absolutely cannot be sure of is that Summer, because she says Summer never wandered off. She'll never leave this hill, blah, 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 blah. You know, and yet that would be their kind of saving grace, but they've banged the abduction theory since day one.
That's the only leg they have to stand on, and it's the only thing by trained investigators, and I don't mean Ronnie. I know everyone's been hating on Ronnie since day one. It is what it is. Trained investigators, as in federal agents and Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, who have they're solving cases left and right, guys. Yep. They're solving cases left and right. Why are they letting this one collect dust? Because it was planned. It was planned, and it was planned well.
Yep.
110. 10-4 rounds, Madison. 335. I'll be in route as well. Go ahead. 35. Okay, guys. Probably going to get several maybe. 10-4. 29 cents. So go ahead. So it's mine. Red Q. Fire, please, for search. 335. 35. You say when you got the original call that Mom went on a run and when she came back that Sandra was gone? That's what the father advised. He's at work about an hour away, trying to make his way home.
Okay, so now we hear she went on a run. It's another healthy habit. Okay, so she went on a run. Yes, that's what the father advised. We have all kinds of problems cooking up just from the initial report of Summerwell's disappearance. She went on a run. I'm not going to split hairs too much over whether Candace was walking, sprinting, jogging, training for the Boston Marathon, because we know none of that happened. But this is from Dawn. That's what the father advised. He's at work an hour away. What's the cell service like in Johnson City? That's where he was at, Trevor.
It's fine. Out in the county, it's really bad, but in the city, it's perfectly fine.
So there would be a ping on his phone. Very good service, right? That's what I've been hearing for 16 months. Then why is he a suspect? He's there. He's at work. I mean, just most recently, I'm only bringing this case up because it's the most fresh in people's minds. Little Quentin Simon, his dad, biological dad that told him happy birthday on Facebook, that's about the most he's done for him. He's ruled out because they already know he was nowhere around. Doesn't seem to be the case here.
Yep, everyone's still a suspect, person of interest, however you'd like to call it. And why, after 16 months, can they not rule anybody out of this investigation? Not one person has been ruled out. None. Why?
Well, except for Jody. They want nothing to do with Jody's ass. And I wish I would have never brought her up on this show. She has been such a hindrance, such a thorn in the side to this. She is a big reason. I'm sorry, hands down, she is a big reason that this is not further along. I'm not saying it would be solved. I'm not saying people would be sitting in jail. I'm saying she is a big, big reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I put Allie in there too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Grandis.
Grandis is a suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Grandis was there. Grandis was on that property. Although she's been cooperating the whole time, according to her.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
the
father is an hour away, unverified, by the way, because he's not cleared.
Nope.
I don't believe for a minute that he would still be a suspect, whether they're trying to break him down or not. You can't, that imbecile. I don't believe for a minute that he would be a suspect if they had his whereabouts from when he left Ben Hill Road that morning to when he arrived on that hill to look for his daughter.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
Well, he's relying on his 7 alibis and Starlink, isn't he?
He sure is.
Which,
with the amount of tips.
Go on,
sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say that, none of those 7 alibis or Starlink can really be relied on because he didn't necessarily use the Subaru all day. He took the Subaru, according to him, to work that morning, which would have provided him the Starlink alibi. But in actual fact, if he used someone else's vehicle at any point during that day, then that's his alibi shot, isn't it?
Yeah, and my biggest problem with his 7 alibis, such a weird ass word to use, but it is what it is, is when on a hot mic, because they did not know they were still on the phone. I don't believe that for a minute. He's taunting her, fighting with her. They fight. They have, knockdown, drag out fights. She's laying in the chair with her swollen gums because she didn't do what the dentist in LA told her to do. So she's laying there with her swollen gums and shit. So she's already mad as a wet hornet. And he's taunting her with, "You're going down." That's what he kept saying. "You're going down.
Yeah.
You're going down." Now, what does Candace say with her swollen gums?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Why didn't she jump up and say, "Oh, you're going down with me, buddy"?
Right.
That has never left my mind. Because this is a conversation between the two of them with nobody listening that they knew of.
Right.
I don't know.
C12 Central. C12 will be in or out. 906. Notify 302. I had him on the phone with both of my hero. Answer any questions he may have on it. 10-4. You want us to try to contact the K9? Let 302 know, and I think he's going to let Rescue make that determination. Yeah. 29 Glen. 302 has been notified. He also wanted me to just remind you to be sure check the house camper, even if they said they've already had. Yeah, well.
It sounds like, and again, it's a 911 call that he's saying, and I've listened to it many times. They had Dawn on the phone, and I guess they lost him en route back to Ben Hill. Because, you definitely would lose signal, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But interestingly, didn't Bond say that him and Candace were on the phone together for the whole way home? For the 45 or 20 minutes, whichever it took him to make it home, he was on the phone with Candace the whole time.
That's what I want to know. Did they speak to both Candace and Dawn, or was Dawn the only one they spoke to? I still do not, 16 months later, have a definitive answer.
Nope.
Do you have any idea, Trevor?
I don't. It seems to have been going both ways. I can't tell.
If Don was talking to them all the way home, then he wasn't speaking to Candace all the way home, was he? And if the signal dropped out, then he certainly wasn't talking to Candace because the signal dropped out. Couldn't have been talking
And
to
if you
both
can't
of
call
them.
911, you can't call your wife. Like,
Right.
There's no way. There's no three-way call.
No,
Go on.
exactly.
You know, and not to mention, let's go back to 2 minutes and 51 seconds ago. Father advised mother took a walk, and 10 minutes later, the 4-year-old is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And we know she's not 4, and we know Candace didn't take any damn walk.
Right.
Hawkins County Rescue Squad, all members, mutual aid request, search and rescue with Churchill Rescue Squad. Staging area is going to be at Mount Carmel Baptist Church on Beach Creek. Hawkins County Rescue Squad, all members, mutual aid request from Churchill Rescue on a search and rescue. Staging area is going to be at Mount Carmel Baptist Church on Beach Creek. Also requesting a respond with 6-wheeler and command trailer. First page, 1911. 502. 502. We acknowledge the page and the resource request. We've got several here at the station. We'll be en route in just a second. Copy, acknowledge the page and resource request. 707, 715. Go ahead. The 1043 is Mark Grant building reference to 1044. The rescue. Go ahead, go rescue floor. And the ranger, rescue set, the command trailer, all three. Copy. 339. 39 to 41. All other units are tied up on 10 here, correct? Yeah, well, I'll be using your direction. 10 for I'm leaving the LTO here. For the complainant or the suspect? That's it. Go 6. Go 6. Yes. Is 317 on the scene. 16's en route. Detective Britt, is he on the scene? We've not been advised. 10 for it. And the trailer to 302. Go ahead. Britton's on scene. 10 for it. 29 seconds. 29. Get hold of 334. About them, we need 2 units to come in to answer calls, please. Make contact with 34. He's going to get 2 units. 10-4, just advise him not to send them over here, just for them to answer full calls, please. 10-4, I thought so. 3 seconds. 41 has it cleared by the time the 2 units go to the give one of them welfare check on country line. We go to the 2949. 2949. Which direction did you go? On the Mount Carmel Freewell Baptist Church. 49. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're about, sorry about all the to 911 call. So we're basically about 5.5 minutes into this call. All right, I know I keep stopping it and everything. They're already setting something up. Why is it that the police, unless that's just how they do it, they're already under the presumption that they're going to be working for a very long time. Is it the terrain, Trevor? Because they're already saying this is where we're setting up.
I believe so, and also because of how there isn't much of an area to stage. Like, if you think of like a city subdivision, you have way more area you can close off and things like that. So they wanted the closest public area that they can go to, which the church would be.
So, but this is a very short amount of time from when the dispatcher says the father advised, mother went on a walk, 10 minutes later she was gone. And in the next 5 minutes and 10 seconds, they're already putting plans in place to bring the house down, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually really interesting, because if you think about it, if they believed that the child had only been missing for 10 minutes instantly, why would they need such a big response, given that in 10 minutes the child could only get so far away from that home?
That's what I'm saying. What the hell? Is it because they already knew him? Is it because they had frequented that address before? You don't hear it on the call. Or is it just a whole, all of them collectively were thinking, bullshit, nobody calls the police after 10 minutes.
Right.
We can say all day, I've heard people say, oh, if I can't see my kid for 1 minute, I'm calling the police. Well, eventually the police aren't going to come to your house any longer. So in 10 minutes she was gone, right there, that was a red flag.
Right. Yeah, I don't think they went to that house with the intention of thinking that she'd only been gone for 10 minutes, because they had such a huge response. It would have been complete overkill for a child that had wandered off 10 minutes previously. They must have gone there with not that we hear it on the dispatch call, but unless I don't really understand the codes and stuff that they're using, but I don't think I heard on there any point anyone saying that this is probably going to turn out to be like, dodgy, so we need to provide a huge response. They were told 10 minutes and they sent pretty much everything but the army in to try and find her.
And the first time I played this 911 call, I need to find the email. 302 is the distinction for a criminal detective, a criminal investigator come out.
Right, that's interesting.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Because I had to say it on the next show. I didn't know in that show when we first talked about this. I want to say it was Truth Quest Tennessee. Truth Quest Tennessee, are you in here listening? Told me 302 is the distinction for a criminal investigator to come out.
Right.
So that 10 minutes didn't hold water from the get.
Central Dispatch 1205. 1205 B1097 Mount Carmel Church. 1415 to Central. 1415 to Central. 1415. Does the fire department need to set up a LZ for the helicopter? 10-4, that's what we were about to do. I'll do that. Attention Persia, Sturgisville Fire Department, Houston members, and members to respond to Sturgisville High School to set up an LZ for Highlands and have approximately 600 ETA. 1402. 1402. Alright. 1415 Central. 1415. On scene at the LZ, I'll have LZ command at this time. Copy. LZ command at Central. LZ command. Go ahead and signal 9 Sturgisville, please. Fire Department, attention all members, car 1415 on scene of the LZ. You can signal 9 your response.
LZ command to Highland.
LZ command there on the EMS channel.
Roger that.
Just available for calls. We do have a pending welfare check.
2934. 41 in the upper end by himself and 39 and 50s in the lower end. That's all I've got available right now.
Roll call be direct.
Three oh two.
Okay.
I heard 34 is 10-8. Which other unit still in?
14 advised. What other unit is 10-8? We're going to go 10-8. 302 wants to know.
LZ command to Central.
LZ Smith.
Helicopter sits on the ground.
10-4.
Okay, so this is at 9 minutes and 20 seconds into the call. They've got helicopters.
Mhm.
Now, if you are assuming that a child has wandered off, I get the helicopters. This is way more impressive than what we've given credit for. I think I did mention it on other shows, and listening to this gives me faith that they would not have deployed so much in less than 10 minutes if they plan to not try to find Summer. Can we at least agree on that for this phone call?
Oh, I agree totally.
Absolutely.
And also, if they were using helicopters, there was still the possibility at this point that she could have been abducted, and they were possibly trying to see if there was any vehicles leaving the area in a hurry, or because at this point they wouldn't have known if it was an abduction or if she'd wandered off. It's an overkill if she'd wandered off, but it may be an appropriate response if she had been abducted at that point.
Mm-hmm. Two recent cases where a child has wandered off in similar terrain. Little Vady in Alabama.
Yeah.
She really got out of her grandmother's sight
Mhm.
very fast.
Yeah.
Little Elijah in West Tennessee.
Mhm.
I think they found him in about 16 hours.
Right.
Very, very,
Mhm.
very. Alabama is almost the terrain that they found Vady in
Mhm.
is almost mirror image, spot on, exact.
Right.
The terrain that they were looking for little Summer Wells in.
And let's not forget that Summer was barefoot. She honestly, truly would not have got very far at all on that terrain, especially with all the rubbish and garbage and stuff that was on their land anyway. That's without all the stuff that the trees leave behind. The tree cutters had been there, all the debris and remnants and everything of all of that. She would not have got far in 10 minutes barefoot on that terrain. No, I don't believe that.
Mm-hmm. Real quick. Hey, Bethy Cakes, where you been? Are you still in Discord, Bethy Cakes? Because I came across your name in there the other day, but I haven't seen you commenting or anything. Do you still have the app? Waiting on Bethy Cakes. Sorry to change the subject. I just happened to see her pop up.
That's okay.
So, I mean, this is a lot of stuff going on in 9 minutes.
Yep.
Under 10 minutes. Under 10 minutes.
Yeah. If this was going to be a cover-up, it wouldn't have started like this, would it?
No, they would have sent out a couple of deputies and said, okay, we'll get a few people together.
Yeah.
We'll call up the local churches and they'll come out and start looking around. But hey, it's getting dinner time. It's getting late.
Yeah.
This is her property. She knows how to get home type of thing.
Yeah.
They do it 1981 style. Well, they know where the dinner table's at.
Your other units to go 10-8. And while Little Owen and Gotchi's over here to take care of county. 2934. 2934. 49's over here with us. He was working with us. So you won't be able to reach him. Econ 302. County Company 302. 10-4, they're set up here.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Command to Central. Go ahead. Helicopters back in the iron. 1402 and all personnel will be released from the scene. Instant command terminated. 26-301, I'm on my way back. Decom Central. Decom. Can you log in the cab that it was red with CNS?
All right, and that is what they released through the Freedom of Information Act. I would love to hear the other end of that phone call.
Mm-hmm.
We know Dawn called because they said they talked to the father. Candace kind of sketchy. I mean, I would love if Candace called, I would love
to hear that.
To hear what she said. I would love to hear how she was acting, if we had a Dr. Phil moment or a behavioral panel moment with or a Mary moment. Mm-hmm. You know, they took Donnie, or if she's just kind of, you know, she mustered something up. We know how Candace is.
Metabolism.
Eileen said, I just wish they could arrest Candace for something. Drugs, child endangerment, child neglect, child abuse, something.
Yep. Yeah, I agree, because they, you know, I think we've either been told or we've figured out that they're holding the 911 calls, the actual original calls, back to use as possible evidence. And that's another thing that says to me that, you know, if the 911 calls were made by two completely innocent parents, they wouldn't need them as a evidence tool. They would put them out there because it might help to, you know, jog people's memories of what they saw or whatever. But why are they still holding on to the 911 calls? The parents obviously are still under suspicion if they plan to use it as evidence in court, you know?
It's something that was said on that call that they will not, at this point, It doesn't matter. It's been 16 months.
Right.
But they're holding that under their hat.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't need to hold anything back from the public if she wandered off.
Exactly.
At this point, you would put it all out there and say, get off my ass. This is all we've got. She wandered off.
Yep. Yep. There would be no harm, no foul in putting the original 911 calls out right now if this was a completely innocent case that the child wandered off. Wouldn't hurt anyone, would it?
No. Be nothing to.
Nope.
Do you agree, Trevor?
I do, and I think they'd love to. Do you know, I mean, the amount of tips and calls that they get regarding speculations that they could put, if they weren't true, they could put to rest with the 911 call or clearing someone. They definitely would. I mean, when people call 1-800-TBI-FIND, somebody answers that line. Like there's a process they go through. So if they're getting all these tips based on these rumors, if they could just come out and say, we wouldn't like any more calls regarding Don Wells, he is cleared, or we wouldn't like any calls regarding the 911 call, here it is. If they could do that, they would, because they wouldn't be getting these unnecessary, at least if it's not true, unnecessary leads.
Exactly.
It'd be a very easy, well, I shouldn't say it'd be easy, because we know nothing in these cases is easy. It's always very complicated, because if they trample on their rights in any way, shape, or form, then they are screwed. I go to the case of Harmony Montgomery. Teardrop is in jail. This is second degree abuse against Harmony. He was told in his interrogation, he said, listen, I was cleared by DCFS. They came to the house. All of that was unfounded. Well, we have an eyewitness. The eyewitness is his uncle. This is 2 years later. They're taking an eyewitness testimony to charge him. So what about the eyewitness testimony of Jody? Was it all a lie? What about the eyewitness testimony of Allie? Was it all a lie? It would not surprise me that those two women did not just sit there and make stuff up. Not saying that they are good parents. I'm not going down that road at all. But if you look at the case of Harmon Montgomery, Teardrop is still sitting in jail, her biological father. And they explained to him, they're like, look, we have an eyewitness that witnessed this. He says, DCYF, it's unfounded. They went away. They said nothing to see here. We have an eyewitness. We're going to hold you. He's still being held from that eyewitness testimony. Yeah. What about all these other eyewitnesses? Can't you hang Candace up for that? Hey, Candace, we got to pick you up. We got to put you in jail. We heard that you guys were getting drugs from Andy across the street to sedate the little girls. Can't do that, Candace. Hey, Candace, even though Hunter won't stick to his story now, we have him talking to a retired detective on YouTube. We know at least 300,000 other people have seen it. That you supplied alcohol to him that day. Hey, Candace, we have eyewitness testimony from Allie and Hunter that on June 17th, 2021, you went by the house and you were intimidating a witness. It's a big crime, Candace. I wonder why they won't.
I wonder what they're saying to police too, because you always have, it could always not be, but I wonder the possibility of them coming on YouTube and saying these things, because you can basically go off and say whatever you want, but then when they're sat down and interrogated or questioned, I wonder what they're telling police.
That's what I'm saying too. That's what I'm saying too, because I think we all know everybody is a big fat talker when they're holding the phone. You sit down face to face with somebody. I witnessed it myself a couple of weeks ago. It was a beautiful thing to see. You sit down face to face, right across, flesh, person, eye to eye. They change very, very fast.
Right.
They change very, very fast.
Yeah, I have no doubt that since the beginning of this whole investigation, what they told law enforcement and what they've told media outlets and what they've told YouTubers and probably what they've told them between themselves has changed astronomically since day one. And that the information that they put out in the media and on YouTube is not necessarily the exact events of what happened on that day. And that's why I think that the dispatch calls and the 911 calls and all of that is very important, because it happened closest to the time of Summer's disappearance. So it's bound to be more accurate than anything they said 2 days later, 2 months later, 20 months later. It changes as time goes ahead, because they realize, and especially Don is quite adept at adapting the narrative to suit himself.
Oh, you're exactly right. Yeah, you're exactly right. And we could tell, particularly after, well, not even dead on, after the boys were removed, and then it really heated up after the McDonough interviews. He was laser focused on social media. And when he would go live, it was almost like he was answering our questions.
Right, that we didn't ask yet.
I hope Hawkins County is ready, because when the showman gets out of jail, what they've had a break from is getting ready to come back.
Yep.
It's getting ready to come back. I don't know. A lot of people have moved on. I mean, you can see when we were first talking about Summer and when it was at its heightened, you could see how many people were in chat, and it has definitely dropped off. We're not going to stop here though, but I do hope they are ready for round 2. Do you know if anyone has talked to anybody around there, Trevor?
No, I'm not sure, but I definitely agree that when he gets out, it's gonna all start back up again.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a line of people waiting to talk to him and begging for his time, and he's going to eat it all up.
Not me. Not me. Fair play to those who can actually bear it, but not me.
Wonder what he has remembered as he's been sitting in the pokey.
He's remembered that everyone should read the book of Ellen White, and that Summer would like to twirl, and he's reminded Candace so many times, take care of Summer, keep your eyes on Summer. He just knew something bad was going to happen to her. It's going to be the same story. It's just going to be a bit more forceful because he's had a year of silence well, not even a year, but a few months of silence in the jail. So
let's do a poll in here. I already asked earlier what everyone thinks. Will him and Candace rekindle their love? Will they let bygones be bygones? The plenty of fish, the skydiving with Benny, all of that, which someone's got a screen recording. I have a feeling that's going to be put right in his face. That blushing and look at my hair. Look at my hair. Oh, did you do your hair? You look great, Candace. That whole Candace living her best life. That's going to make him so mad. But do you think anything is going to happen with Utah? We had a lady on the show, and she's still looking into it. She lives in Utah. She's paralegal in Utah. It doesn't look promising to me.
Just trying to see what chat are saying. I know I've got my own thoughts about it, but
not what you want to happen, what in the realm of reality you think is going to happen. We know what we want to happen.
I think for me, I want to be realistic about it. I don't think that Utah are picking these charges up or going ahead with any kind of charges. And I don't mean that shouldn't happen. I just don't think it is going to happen.
Joe said, mark my words. Joe said, mark my words, that Utah is going to nab him.
I mean, I hope so, but I'm prepared if it doesn't happen, because I've just got a feeling that it's been overhyped. It's been over. I'm not saying what happened in the first place has been overhyped at all. Let me just be clear. I think the whole Utah extradition, the charges, etc., has been overhyped. I don't see any progress in that area at all in terms of what people want to happen. So I'm just preparing myself for the fact that it isn't going to happen.
I agree. They had 7 months. The accusations came out, actually longer. The accusations, which I believe are true.
I believe them too.
I believe these. I believe them.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I know some people get real angry, but I believe them. It's not an after the fact thing. None of this stuff was secret. We found out about it when Summer Wells went missing. We didn't know these people existed. We didn't know they even roamed the planet. We didn't know.
Nope.
So it's not like they came out after the fact. A lot of people say, I hate when these people come out after the fact. Well, no one's saying they came out after the fact. We didn't know these people.
Exactly.
They come out in June of 2021 with this. Not even everybody, they already knew. People, they had told other people.
Yeah.
They talked to McDonough. All right, so it's out. It is given to the authorities in Utah. So they had June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. They had 8 months to do something with Dawn. 8 months. And this is under the cloud of the disappearance of Summer Wells. 8 months. That's my whole thinking on it. Not saying I don't want it to happen or that I don't believe the women. I just 8 months.
It's just about being realistic rather than idealistic, I think. In an ideal world, of course, Utah would be extraditing Don and he'd face the full wrath and the consequences of his disgusting behaviour, which, by the way, yes, he has bragged about, you know, and admitted to, but on YouTube or whatever. But it's just about being realistic. Does the justice system work in the way that we ideally would like it to? No, it doesn't. And that's realism.
Deb. Deb just snuck in. Joe said Don admitted it. It's on the record. It's not on the record. It's
Not on the record.
It's
Yeah.
not on the record. He has not been. It's where do you mean it's on the record? Because talking to Chris McDonough is not the record.
No.
I don't want to argue. I'm not arguing at all, and I want it to happen. I don't think these people. I do want it to happen. All right, so I want to go over Robin's recollection of the night. Oh, goofy Robin, where did she go to?
Yeah, she's gone very quiet, hasn't she? Mind you, not that she really made much noise. But it is a little sad that Robin's not around anymore.
It is a little sad. Joe says it was recorded by Mary. I get that. It was recorded by Mary, and I have the recording. I have the recording. That'd be like me admitting to a crime to you, Joe, and it just be a total joke and a farce, and that's not an official record.
And he would have to say exactly the same that he'd said on that recording to the cops for it to be on the record. In a statement, a recorded interview, it's not on the record unless he directly says that to them in an admission of guilt or whatever, It kind of goes back to the whole realistic versus idealistic thing, because obviously, ideally, if someone comes on YouTube and says, yeah, I did this, that, and the other, yeah, then you would hope that based off of that testimony alone, they could be prosecuted for it. But the law doesn't work like that. Well, at least it doesn't in this country. It could possibly be used in a courtroom situation, but I don't think it's a declaration of guilt in terms of legal standpoint. A lawyer would have a field day with it. The lawyers would rip it to shreds.
Yeah, especially since he recanted later and said he was just screwing around with Chris.
Playing house and yeah.
I don't know. I want it to happen. I'm not trying to rain on anyone's parade. I'm not trying to make this any worse than it is, but it's 16 months and there's no summer wells.
Right.
We got 2 states looking at them. You got Utah and you got Tennessee. Like I said, they had 8 months with this so-called confession and nothing happened. It's sickening. It's sickening. If it can be used against him, they had 8 months.
Yep.
They had 8 months then. Well, they've got now.
Well, they've had 16 months now, haven't they, really? Since it came out the month that Summer disappeared, 16 months later. Still no movement. Well, not any movement that we can see, anyway. Unless there is things going on behind the scenes and they do plan to extradite him on the 30th of October or whatever, it's just kind of feels a little bit far-fetched to me at the moment. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm right. I'm planning or preparing myself for the fact that it might not happen,
That's kind of how we've been with this for a long time. Just preparing myself.
Yeah.
For yet another knock in the jaw.
Bit of an understatement.
Says Utah could have a holder on Don, meaning once his time in Hawkins County, they will hold him and Utah will pick him up there. And that's what a lot of people are thinking, that they're just like, no, do your time there. I don't know why Tennessee would want what it would benefit them to hold him all this time for a violation of probation, unless they thought this whole time he would eventually crack. I don't know.
No, I wonder as well. And I wonder if it was partly because Ronnie Lawson wanted some peace and quiet. Eventually, when all was said and done with Don, they were getting so many tips to the tip line. They told YouTubers not to call in any more tips ever about anything. It was just, they got so frustrated with it that I wonder if it was more for their benefit than anything else. I don't know.
I imagine some of those calls were so frustrating because even though they're out of the realm of whatever universe you're in, they had to be looked at, had to be investigated. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to Robin's recollection of the night. We got to hear from the preacher too. Here we go. If there's an echo, let me know. Okay, guys?
Okay.
Search for missing 5-year-old Summer Wells continues today as we reach day 31 since the Little Hawkins County girl was reported missing.
News Channel 11's Bianca Murray spoke with Summer's Sabbath school teacher about how much the little girl meant to her and the church they attend.
Summer's parents told us she really looked up to her Sabbath school teacher as a role model. Yesterday, I heard from Robin Lane how much Summer meant to her and her experience from the night Summer disappeared.
Whenever I was helping teach Sabbath school, she was in my lap. And sometimes it was hard to teach because she wanted to be in my lap, holding me and hugging me. I just discovered that it was actually easier for me just to hold her and let her love on me and hug me and teach with her on me than it was to make her sit in a chair.
Robin Lane tells me she had a close bond with Summer.
She was a helper. She loved to help. She loved to love on us. And I just loved her little arms around my neck all the time.
She recalled she was attending her own daughter's dance recital the night Summer disappeared.
I was taking my little girl's pictures before her dance class, and I noticed I was missing calls from Candace. Before I even had a chance to call her, she messaged me again on Facebook Messenger, and she was just in panic mode. And she says, Summer's gone. We can't find her anywhere. The police are here searching. And I said, I'll be right there.
Lane said she arrived at the Beach Creek area around at 9 p.m. on June 15th. The night Summer was reported missing.
I was ready. I was like, let's do this. Let's get the flashlights out. Let's get some snacks in our bags, you know.
Can you guys hear that okay?
We can hear it, but the picture wasn't moving on the screen, I don't think.
I know, I had to hit reset. Hang on. Let me go back a little bit. I'm going to try something real quick. I'm going to try to mute my internal mic to see if you can still hear it, okay? And then I'll...
Okay.
Okay, so I'm muting right now. Okay, well, I'm going to mute and play. You'll see it moving on the screen. Tell me if you can hear it.
Okay.
Call her. She messaged me.
Yes, we can hear it.
Messenger, and she was just in a panic mode. And she says, Summer's gone. We can't find her anywhere. The police are here searching. And I said, I'll be right there.
Lane said she arrived at the Beach Creek area around at 9 p.m. on June 15th. The night Summer was reported missing.
I was ready. I was like, let's do this. Let's get the flashlights out. Let's get some snacks in our bags. You know, it's going to be an all-nighter, you know. And they wouldn't let us. They wouldn't let us even go up there.
Police blocking the entrance to Ben Hill Road. Lane says she offered assistance the only way she could.
We showed them some pictures of Summer. The police didn't have very good pictures of her, or some of them hadn't even seen a picture of her yet.
This right here. Okay. They've got everything blocked off to Ben Hill Road.
Yeah.
Everything blocked off. So let's think about that right now. If she wandered off, it is blocked off. They have got grown men, big old dudes out there looking for her.
Yeah.
Blocked off. You can't get up there. Then Robin says they didn't know what she looked like.
Right. We showed them some pictures of her because they didn't have really good pictures of her. Despite the fact that her mum takes photos of her like 24/7 and posts them on her TikTok or whatever, they couldn't find very good pictures of her. So they eventually gave the police a wrong photo of her that she'd looked like a year ago or something, instead of using one of the pictures that off of Candace. I don't get that. I still don't get it. All this time later, I don't understand why they gave the wrong photo.
The wrong photo, the wrong age, and to this day, we do not know what Summer was wearing. Lawson kept saying, check all your properties. You know, you may not come across her per se, but if you come across a swatch of a t-shirt, you see some fabric, something like that, let us know, because the TBI can run it through and see if that had been on Summer at one point. She can't even tell you. Now, hi, Connie. How are you, Connie? After Summer went missing June 15th, the next day, I don't know how Candace was doing it, because now people say it's a fake account. It's a fake account. It wasn't a fake account. They had taken her phone. She must have been using one of the boys' phones, because, the boys were left with now one of the boys' phones was taken. There was another phone in the house. She was arguing with people in comments. On June 16th, that was the first show I did for Summer Wells, 2021. She was arguing with people. She was changing her story in these comments.
Yeah.
And also in the arguing with people, the outfit changed several times.
Mm.
Do you remember that, Trevor?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I remember one lady, I wish I had the screenshot, who even said to her, "Are you related to Megan Boswell?" Because that's how it was looking.
Yeah.
Wow.
To that night was granted access to the Wells home.
At that point, there's really nothing I could do. They just needed someone to pray with them. Do you feel really helpless in that situation? Because you want to do something. It makes you feel better to do something. But we couldn't, so we just prayed and we just hugged on them and loved on the boys. And they, of course, were just shattered and just confused, as was I.
Lane says police wouldn't allow them to assist in the search.
And then we had to go home, and it was really hard driving home with her not being found. Helicopters everywhere, search dogs everywhere, police everywhere, and there's nothing that you can do to help.
Tonight at 6, hear how the members of the Kingsport Seventh-day Adventist Church has been offering whatever help.
I don't know. I think Robin was way too excited about going on a search for Summer. The way she talks about it is like she was going on a picnic or something. Oh, we packed our bags, packed some flashlights, we packed some snacks in our backpacks. Like, let's go.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say when before the rest of the video cut back on. Is I don't know if I didn't think I was only picking up on that, but I was wondering how she was just able to be like, and we were like, let's get our flashlights and snacks and let's go.
Right.
When this kid that she cares so deeply about and is so close to is missing. Like she could,
Right.
I mean, you hate to think about it, but if you, one thought that has to go through your head when a child goes missing is they could be like, we could not find them. There could be a chance that this child is gone. I mean, you can't see them. You don't know where they went. Something bad could happen. You don't want to think that way, but that's a possibility.
Right.
So there's no way that you could sit there and be like, well, this child may be gone, or I may not be able to find this child that I love so much. So let's pack our stuff and go.
Yep. And to even recall it like that, you know, because there's obviously afterwards that she's speaking to the press. To even recall it like that is, I don't know, some people find her cute. I just find her quite sinister.
I think it's creepy AF.
Uh-huh.
You might have been that night.
Mm.
I mean, and from what I'm understanding, that's her demeanor at all times.
Yeah.
Whether she's with her patients at work, because she's a dental hygienist, that she's just like that all the time. That's just how she is. It's just creepy in this setting.
Mm.
I would assume if someone tells me I can't find my child, you know, my grandchild, whatever, that the child just wandered off there around the property somewhere, I'd be the same way. We're going to find them.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't think they've been abducted. I wouldn't think that my friend had anything to do with it. So I could imagine that demeanor that night.
Mm-hmm.
But then it goes into the road is blocked off. They wouldn't let us on the property. Then next thing you know, there's helicopters flying everywhere. I couldn't keep that same demeanor talking about helicopters flying over, talking about Summer.
Exactly.
It's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And I don't get me wrong, I don't suspect her. I don't, you know, feel like realistically feel like she had anything to do with it. But I do find that her whole personality just quite scary. She's not cute. She's, I don't know, she's sinister. That's the only word I can think to describe her.
Well, it's like when we did that show, it was after Christmas, Kat. You were the one when she addressed the church talking about washing Summer's toys and had to get the dirt out of the little Paw Patrol's eyes. And I was like, the hell is going on? I would have grabbed my kid and left that church and gone to another church.
And when she said, you know, it's a little sad that Summer can't be here today. A little sad. A little sad.
It's one thing if she's addressing the adults in the congregation. I just can't believe anybody had the wherewithal, did not have the I cannot believe they let her address the children about a missing child in the congregation. That's something that needs to be addressed between mom and
their
dad
parents
and the
and the
child.
exactly. Yeah, I find that completely inappropriate. I mean, all of this business of, well, you know, when I was teaching at Sabbath school, she would sit in my lap and she would hug on me, and I just couldn't teach the class. So in the end, I just thought it was easier to let her hug me and love on me. And, you know, if that was if she was a man and that was the same kind of thing, I don't think we'd all be as comfortable with, you know, Summer not putting Summer off her lap and letting her hug all over her and love all over her. And I don't know, it just seems wildly inappropriate to me.
Grown people that talk in a baby voice,
Yeah.
they got something wrong with them.
Is it Michelle Duggar that does that as well?
They got something wrong with them, dude. They got something wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure she's the nicest person in the world. And there was a lady that used to come on the panel a lot, and she doesn't do true crime. She wants nothing to do with any of it ever again. I don't know what happened, but you know, God bless her. She's doing good. She was adamant every time she came on that Summer is with Robin. That Robin is a like the movie Gone Baby Gone. She's a sympathizer, and she has gotten Summer to a good family. She would, I mean, if I talked to her right now, if I called her right now, would say the same thing. She was adamant. It was always an interesting conversation. I mean, it was always interesting. But Robin's not a suspect.
No.
I really wish at some point Lawson, I want him to start talking again, because it's always jaw-dropping when he does. When he says everyone, we know it's not Jody Sue, because they don't want to talk to her ass at all. They don't care what she has to say. She did the best she could to be a suspect. That's how weird she is. That's how crazy she is.
Like the wannabe suspect. So weird.
I know. So specify.
Yeah.
Dawn, Candace Grandis. Everyone is more than one person. Who is everyone? The only person that's had a real fallout from this legally, I mean, Dawn, that's his own doing, the violation of probation, would be Allie. She's lost her kids.
Yep.
I mean, literally, Allie can't even wipe her own ass. We've heard Allie tell us that.
Oh, no. I just got that mental imagery back in my head again, Brooks.
I'm picturing a T-Rex on the toilet. I couldn't believe she had to tell everybody that.
Oh, her arms aren't long enough, really, are they? You know, it's a long reach around for someone with really short arms.
It's insane. So then you have who could really get the ball rolling. The town has a mayor. I am not asking anyone to reach out to the mayor. If you're local and you happen to see the mayor up the corner diner, you might want to say, hey, you know anything about the Summer Wells case? You know, I haven't heard anything. And then there's a DA. We've only heard from the DA one time. Now, if the DA is given enough evidence and something that he thinks he can convince a jury on something, I mean, I don't know about this DA. I don't know how good he is in the courtroom. Some DAs have never even seen a jury, believe it or not. They settle everything before it goes to trial. They settle everything before it goes to trial. How experienced is this DA, Trevor? You obviously would know way more than me.
He seems to be pretty experienced. I would say he's up to par with Sullivan County.
He's never tried a no-body case, though.
Right.
Ever. That's very, very hard to do.
His statement that he gave was quite interesting timing in the grand scheme of things. What he said, quite interesting that a grand jury for Hawkins County was being arranged and the notification was in the paper, and a couple of weeks later he was talking about how this kind of case would usually go in front of a grand jury. And I remember at the time thinking there must have been a lot of connections between the things he was saying and the timing at which it came out, because he hasn't come out during the rest of the whole investigation except for at that one point. I don't know. I just kind of wonder how much of that was specifically due to the timing and how much of it was just kind of coincidence.
I wondered that myself. Well, then
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because he knew about the public speculation or he had a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
This grand jury for Summer Wells, of course, he can't answer because grand juries are done in secret.
Exactly.
He might have come out just to stop the calls and say a case like this would have to go in front of the grand jury.
Yeah.
There's nothing on his record ever showing that he has put in front of a jury in Hawkins County, which would be about, that's where he does his thing. He's never had a case where he's had a change of venue. So any case he's ever put in front of a jury, there's always been a body.
Right.
Not that he's had very many murder cases. What's the most recent? What I see with his record, and I do not live there, Google is not as accurate as people think. I don't mean to put that out there. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just I have looked like a sack full of assholes reading from Google before. But you're there, Trevor. I can't really find any like capital crimes that he's had to razzle dazzle a jury with. Specifically, a case where he's got to convince a jury and he has no body. That's a big problem in this case. That's a big problem in this case. I guess if they had enough on Dawn and Candace, like I said, you live there. I don't know this guy. Would he have the ego that he would let a special prosecutor come in and take the reins from him?
I'm not sure. I would hope so, because I think sometimes with these small areas, you get people that are just in over their head, and it's not even necessarily ineptitude, but he just deals with drug cases, and that's mostly the biggest cases he tries there. There's not a huge murder problem here. There's not a wild but kids go miss. It's not something that he has to try. So sometimes it just comes down to he wouldn't be experienced in these kind of things and would do it incorrectly or not the way he should be. So I would hope so, but I can't say if he would or not.
Yeah, I'm thinking that he's going to need some help in that department,
Mm-hmm.
The DA in Sullivan County with Megan Boswell, and they have a body, with the the social media, and stuff like that. He's accepted help. So we'll see. So anyway, this is the only update we have from him.
The search for missing Summer Wells continues tonight. That's the Hawkins County girl who's now been missing for nearly 10 months.
Tonight, for the first time, we're hearing from District Attorney General Dan Armstrong about his role in the investigation into what happened to the missing 6-year-old Summer Wells.
On the night of June 15th, District Attorney General Armstrong called in the TBI to help with the search efforts for Summer Wells. Now, almost 10 months later and no real developments, this case is unlike anything he's ever worked before.
The sheriff will contact other law enforcement agencies, and but under the way the TBI is set up, I have to make the formal request for the TBI. So the sheriff, when in this particular case, he had called and asked for help from all the agencies, and then called me, and I asked the TBI to get involved.
The long-spanning search for Summer Wells can feel like a blur, but the night of June 15th is clear as day, just as the call to issue an Amber Alert on the 16th.
An Amber Alert is where a child is missing from either the person that's supposed to have legal custody of them or their parents. And so we put out the Amber Alert to alert everybody, including citizens. If you have a cell phone, your phone will go off on Amber Alerts. So you can be on the lookout and help us spot this child if the child happens to show up in your area.
No one has been charged in relation to Summer's disappearance, but that doesn't mean the district attorney isn't involved.
My role basically is just to be an advisor as any legal issues that may come up during the search, who to talk to, how to go about doing that. I am kept briefed periodically, not every day, but periodically, and just available to provide any legal assistance that I can.
As law enforcement is flooded with tips and the seasons change, small-scale searches have taken place in the Beach Creek area.
We follow leads as they come in. So at this point, you're basically down to just following whatever leads come in and following up, maybe trying to backtrack and do some things you did before to see if anything comes of it.
The most recent ground search back in February didn't bring anything, and right now there isn't another one planned. Coming up tonight at 6, you'll hear more from District Attorney.
All right, so he explains the Amber Alert. We already knew that. It's a different protocol in every state.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in Tennessee, if a child isn't with who they're supposed to be with, they can get an Amber Alert. Not like that in every state. So anyway, the only hope that I really got from this interview with him is that he said, not every day, but they bring me stuff quite often.
Yeah.
So this was in March.
Yep.
I think before Dawn gets out, they might do a little update. I don't know. I think all the time, any day now, they're going to update everybody, but
I wonder if they were putting out updates on a semi-regular basis, because they haven't been regular at all, but just because of the amount of interest that was happening on social media at the time. And perhaps they think that perhaps now Don's been in jail for a year, that everyone on social media would have forgotten about Summer and they can just carry on quietly investigating. But they haven't learnt from the past what can happen in the future. And perhaps they won't make a statement because they don't want to draw attention back to the case. Maybe they're hoping that Don will come out of jail quite quietly, go back to tending his land and, you know, all of that crap. And that social media will have forgotten who he is and all in the world is going to be well, you know?
yeah, if they want to live in that world, they can have it. And I'm sure that is what they're thinking. And I wouldn't doubt that they don't have a little talk with him.
Uh-huh.
You know, don't ramp this up again. We're trying to find your daughter.
Right.
But you know what that means to Dawn.
Right. It's
They're
like a red
trying
rag
to
to a
find me.
bull to
They're trying to
Don.
find something on me. They're trying to find something
Yep.
on Candace.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor, do you see that comment on the screen?
The about Sheriff Cassidy.
Yeah, we were talking about that on the last show for summer. What do you think? Has your opinion changed?
No, I still agree with that. And I remember when we had linked the two cases the last time I was on, I had said something similar, and I still believe that if he was on it, he would have handled it differently. And I think that they would be in. I don't think that he would have it solved, and that's nothing on him. I think this is a case that's different than the norm, like TBI has said. But I think he would be putting them behind bars for whatever he could on a smaller scale to lead to the bigger prize.
Yeah, and do you think that we're just having a conversation here? I mean, you're not. I don't mean to put you on the hook because you are local. Just what you think. This is for everybody. It wouldn't. Do you think the TBI would tell him, no, don't arrest Candace for child endangerment. Let's keep her out, or no, don't pursue the Twisted Tea thing? Or do you think it's just them? That's how they're handling it.
Usually, now TBI obviously has jurisdiction since they cover the whole state, and I know FBI has had some involvement, but TBI usually leaves the directness, if it can be, leave it up to the local. So I think that's more of a Hawkins County decision on that front.
Okay.
One thing, though, regarding the district attorney that we were talking about, I will say one thing that's good about this is the TBI, while they can't bring charges on anybody, they're good about suggesting charges. Because I know one thing here in Tennessee, at least, is if there's ever an officer-involved shooting, TBI has to come in. They're asked to come in and investigate, and they can't charge. But if there's some wrongdoing, they recommend charges and what those charges would be to the district attorneys in that county. So hopefully he would have that help from them, even if he didn't know what exactly he should be pursuing. They could recommend and go from there.
Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that. Huh. Wouldn't it be nice, though, for Leslie, for some reporter? Come on, Ansley. Come on, Ansley. We have faith in you, Ansley Daniel. Yeah. If Ansley would just say, Leslie, can you tell us why this is outside the norm?
Mm-hmm.
Besides the fact that Summer is missing, and that is not outside the norm. Can you tell us why this is outside the norm? I would love, we can read Leslie's face so well between the Boswell case and Summers case. You can tell she just gets this look on her face like, oh God, don't ask me that. I would love just to see her reaction. I don't think she'll answer the question, but I would love for someone to ask her, why is this outside the norm? Maybe we'll get Court K to tweet her today.
Good plan.
She does respond to her. It's crazy.
Yeah, she does.
Well, go ahead, Trevor.
She's always been good about getting back. One thing though, I've kept reviewing that TBI newsroom, the page that they have with all of the facts about the case and their updates. The one section.
Oh, Trevor cut out. Trevor.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I was saying is, I don't know where it cut me off at, but one thing that I noticed is on the TBI newsroom page where they've got all the information listed, it says that they are not going to provide any more information regarding the timeline due to the integrity of the investigation. But they don't say that in any other section about any other part of the case. So it seems like, and it's not surprising that they know more than we do. I hope they would, but it seems like there's something in that realm, in the timeline of the day, that they know is off and that they're not saying.
Oh, 100%.
But I think because they officially
think that too.
Because they go on.
Hello?
Investigation.
Uh-oh, he's cutting out a little bit.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting because I look at their frequently asked questions from time to time just to see if they have updated it at all.
Yeah.
I totally missed that they said they would not answer anything about the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the timeline's where it's at.
Yeah.
From when she got home from all that crap she had going on that day to when she called 911, which we know was a lot longer than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Nobody calls after 10 minutes. It takes you longer to wash your face and brush your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to assume their child's been kidnapped if they can't find them in 10 minutes. That's ridiculous. So anyway, 10 minutes, we know it was longer than that. Something went down, we know, from when she got home to when she called either Dawn or 911. I'm still not convinced as to who got called first.
Well, if she got her full jog in, then it had to have been more than 10 minutes. I mean, it takes longer to get a good run in.
Take her 10 minutes just to get down that damn driveway.
Yeah. She got her full half marathon in. It definitely was longer than 10 minutes.
But yeah, the thing is, I mean, we've said, well, all of us have said since day one, the timeline does not make sense. There's not one part of the entire day's timeline that makes sense. They brushed it aside. Hunter doesn't know how to tell the time. Ali doesn't remember what time it was. Candace is too busy having fun to look at the time. Don doesn't know how long it takes him to drive back from work. You know, the timeline had so many holes in it. If it didn't make sense to us, it was never going to have made sense to law enforcement, no matter how the story changed between what they told law enforcement and what they told us. That timeline was off since day one. And law enforcement kind of don't need people pointing that out to them anymore. They know. They knew. So it's not surprising they're not going to answer any more questions about the timeline. Everybody knows it's screwed up. What they know happened in that timeline may be way different to what we think happened in that timeline based on what Candace and Don have told us.
Mm-hmm. And I think that timeline was even in question from that night. Because we were talking about why they sent such a huge personnel group in. Right. And I wonder if just someone had picked up, because I'm sure when a call comes in like that, the information is run up the food chain. I'm sure it went all the way up to Lawson. Even if he didn't come straight out there, I'm sure he was made aware because that's possibly a huge issue in your county. Yeah. So somebody may have picked up and just said, this doesn't seem right. It may be right, but something seems off. So we're going to send in more than what we usually would if it seemed like a plausible story.
Yeah.
Well, and
that timeline is the same. It's been that. Sorry, I was saying the timeline has been an issue, like you said, since the beginning. So for them to have picked up on that, I'm sure it was very early on too.
Yeah.
4 hours is a long time. If it's 4 hours, I think it's longer.
Yeah, I do too. But didn't Leslie say that it was early afternoon the last time Summer was seen?
And I really honestly believe that, and I've been wrong before, it's always been said, and I'm certainly not trying to take anyone's hope away or make you feel silly or call you silly or anything. That's just my thoughts, that the boys hold the key to this. I think Candace purposely kept them occupied.
Yeah.
It's a magic trick, you know?
Mhm.
Look here so you're not looking here.
Right. Sent them to the creek with knives. She says they helped her unload the groceries from the car, but they were engrossed in this online game looking at the TV. I don't even think she would have said to them, look after Sissy or whatever she said, while she went over and fixed her mum's knee brace, because I don't genuinely think that 3 boys, I mean, I know my brothers wouldn't have had a clue where I was at that age. It wouldn't have even crossed their minds where I was, let alone, oh yeah, she went downstairs to play with her toys, etc.
Well, like I said, and she forgot that she told Dawn that she went on a walk and 10 minutes later Summer was gone.
Right.
First off, Dawn knows that's BS because
Yep.
he knows Candace, Jose said one time it took him an hour to find Summer.
Right.
She didn't call 911 that day, did she?
No.
In an hour? She didn't call 911 that day. She didn't find anyone to help her. But now, since it's not convenient to some people's narrative, they're just going to say Jose's a liar. I get it. I know how it works. But still, if it took an hour to find her that one day and she has all these hiding spots and she has wandered off before, then you didn't call 911 that day. But 10 minutes the day you decided to exercise, Candace, you called 911. No. Muscles made it in.
Hey, Muscles.
Carla said this whole case should be a Stephen King movie. There you go. Tim Mullen hadn't thought about that one, has he? Because he really thinks he's going to get credit somewhere. And my question is, for what?
Right.
For what?
Being the devil's advocate at this point.
Harboring a fugitive.
Oh.
Interesting.
I like that. That's a good one. Well, guys, I've kept you for 2 hours on a Saturday. We're kind of getting into that habit, aren't we? I've been popping in on weekends quite a bit. It's for some reason, I don't know why. It's kind of a little more relaxing. I don't know why. It's just a Saturday. Let's chat. This Saturday is more significant because 16 months. Think about what was going on 16 months ago today.
Yeah.
Were we at the hippie house? What were we doing? We know what happened, though.
Well, according to Candace, she was trying to enjoy herself.
Well, she's had
she visited 30 places that day.
She's had 16 months to enjoy herself. Time's a wasting, Candace.
Yep. Well, I'm going to jump down, Brooks, but thank you so much. It was really nice to talk to you as well, Trevor. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll catch you on Discord.
Yes, we'll be over in Discord after I make French toast.
Awesome. Make some French toast for me, please. Thanks.
I'll send it over.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Thank you, Trevor, for coming up. I always love to have in all these cases locals to come on and just tell us what's really going on there. I can speculate from afar, but it's always nice to have a local come on and tell us, well, you knew about the case before it hit any of our social media. And of course, awesome catching up with Kat. You guys go check out her channel. She has a lot of great videos about Summer. And I'm going to let you guys get on with your day. Pat, that's what I'm going to do. The French toast in the air fryer. How long do you put the French toast on for, Pat? You can tell me over in Discord. So I will, whoever is not in Discord and wants to be in Discord, send me an email. Tell me your YouTube name. If I don't recognize you, probably not going to come in. Or if you've changed your YouTube name, that's important to know too. So On with your day. I love that, Lisa. Have a greater day. Have a greater day. Hope all your teams win. Hope the weather is cooperating. Don't forget to check out the videos on the audio is not perfect. That is on their end, not mine. Check out the videos about the 4 men that disappeared in Okmulgee. We're going to start covering that case next week. It's about 20 minutes from me. Woo, it's spooky. It is something out of a movie for sure. It is. Freaks me out if you really want to know the truth. So again, thank you for an awesome panel, awesome chat, awesome people. Have an amazing weekend. I'll see you back here on Monday. Bye-bye, guys.